Hey BookTube, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel, The Book Bag. So this week I have a weekly reading vlog for you. This was the week of the Magical Readathon Orilium Gear Up, and we also went away to the mountains this weekend, so it's kind of like a readathon and a travel vlog together for it to make like a mountains and magic weekly reading vlog. So this week was the Magical Readathon Orilium Gear Up, so it's just like a quick little 1 week readathon to get ready for the bigger month-long readathon that I think is happening in April. The Magical Readathon is a yearly readathon that G from Book Roast does, and this year she has this really incredible, almost like D&D style readathon that she did starting last summer? Yeah, I think it was last summer she started, and you like made your own little character and went through this little like journey to get to the school. And the whole idea is that you're like attending this magic school and like learning to be, not a wizard, but you're like learning magic. So I made a little spread in my reading journal here. And we've got the beautiful printout. She always does these like super detailed like PDFs. The other side too, with all those like beautiful drawing and everything on it. But basically this week we were reading to choose a conduit for our character, which was a way to like channel your magic. And then we are also reading for our character's legacy, so kind of something that they had inherited from their guild to help them on their magical journey. So there were, for the conduit, there were some that were like pretty basic and anyone could get them, and there are ones that are more specific to your guild, which we chose last time. I did a whole video on this first part of the readathon, so I'll post that up top and like in the description so you guys can check that out when I did that. For my conduit, I decided to go for the spell book, and the prompt for that one was to read a book with at least 2 S's in the title. And for that prompt, I chose to go with The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwrecks by Mackenzi. This is a book that I had out from the library for quite a while, so I was worried about it having to go back before I got a chance to read it. It is the third in the Montague siblings trilogy, and I think it's also the final one in that series, if I'm not wrong. I think it's intended to be the finale. And then for the second part of the readathon, for my legacy, I decided to go for the Locket of the Clear Mind, which is to read a book in 4 or less sittings. And then for that one, I chose Isn't It Bromantic by Lyssa K. Adams, which is the 4th and most recent book in the Bromance Book Club series. So I did read The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwrecks before we went on our trip, and it was like a pretty solid addition to the series. I have not read the first 2 books in quite a while, so I didn't like fully appreciate some of the references to the previous books. Like I'd see a character be like, I'm pretty sure that was in the second book, but like I can't remember them very well. So it probably would be better if I'd reread the first 2 more recently, but it was still good. So I think I gave it like 4 stars on Goodreads. The first little bit kind of dragged for me, but I found the last third really engaging and interesting, and it really brought it up from like what I thought was going to be a 3-star read to a 4-star read. I thought the depiction of anxiety in this was really good, almost too good, to the point where it was like a little painful to read about Adrian's perspective, because he was just like so anxious and so unable to function throughout a lot of it, which was really hard to read about, but it was done really well. I thought it was pretty accurate. So this follows the 3rd Montague sibling, Adrian. It takes place, I think, about a decade after the second one ends, and he's kind of like the lost sibling. He finds out that he has siblings because he doesn't know that, and his mother has recently died, and he has inherited a mysterious spyglass from her, so he's discovering his siblings. He's trying to figure out what happened to his mom, if her death was like maybe kind of mysterious, and he ends up going on this like big voyage across the sea. So after I finished that book, it was time to head off to the mountains. We were trying to take a little vacation from all of the news and everything, because both my boyfriend and I had been like doom scrolling on Twitter the past couple weeks, and we were both feeling pretty garbage because, you know, the state of the world is absolutely terrible at the moment. So we deleted Twitter off our phones. We're like, we're not gonna look at the news. And then we went to a little town in the mountains, stayed in this really cute bed and breakfast, and just like vegged for the weekend. So on Friday, we left right before lunch and had lunch at the famous bagel shop there, which had really good bagel witches, and then wandered around the bookstore. I think this is one of my favorite bookstores. It's like a little indie bookstore, and they have one unit where it's like all the new books, and then you go across the hall and they have a little cafe and like a used bookshop, and they've got like all sorts of cute merchandise. I was really tempted by this cute little like literary cat's bag, but I was talked out of it because we already have enough bags, which is fair, but it was really cute. I did end up buying a couple books because I can't leave a bookstore without buying a book. I got the Bookshop of the Broken-Hearted by Robert Hillman, and this is like a historical fiction set in the late 60s about people like falling in love while running a bookstore, because I think it's like his wife left him, and yeah, she is like a survivor of Auschwitz. So not like a super like not like cute romance, but it sounds like a very nice like heartwarming story. And then I also bought Daughters of the Deer by Danielle, and this is another historical fiction, but this is set in the 1600s, and it follows Marie, who is from the Deer clan and ends up marrying one of the white French settlers, and then also follows her daughter, who is Two-Spirit, and kind of the like clash of cultures between the colonizers and the indigenous people who were there originally. And this book was also signed by the author, so that was super fun. But I will talk more in depth about these two books in a book haul I have coming soon, because it was also staff appreciation at my work where we got an extra discount, and I ordered a bunch of books because I hadn't been buying books this year to save up for staff appreciation, so I bought a whole bunch of books. So I'll talk more about those ones in that video, and that should come out probably in the next couple weeks. Depends on when the books arrive because they're being shipped to me. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that video. After we spent probably like an hour or an hour and a half in the bookstore, it was time to check into our little B&B, and we've stayed here before. It's like a super cute little, almost like Victorian style house with all these different rooms in it, and our room was super cute, had a beautiful view of the mountains. We had a nice little bed, had a really fancy like shower and then separate bathtub. Only fancy people have two ways of bathing themselves. And they have like a nice little like coffee bar and hot chocolate bar you can get all throughout the day, and this cute little like lounge you can hang out in, and a lovely fireplace. And we had a fireplace in our room too, which we left going for way too long, and it was way too hot to sleep at night, but it's fine, we survived. And then after we had gotten settled in our room, we went for a nice little dinner. We got all gussied up, wore like makeup for the first time in 2 years almost, and went out and had a nice little dinner. But after that, we got back to the B&B, went to sleep, and then the next morning we got to have breakfast at the bed and breakfast, as is suggested in the name. And their breakfast is so good. It's like they give you almost like a little breakfast appetizer. So the first day we had like a little piece of cobbler, I think it was rhubarb cobbler, and then like the main course of your breakfast was like this egg and ham and arugula and pepper like wrap, and then they have all this like fresh fruit as well for you. So it's like very filling and like really good stuff, like restaurant quality food. And then we had like a chill morning. I ended up reading Isn't It Bromantic by Lyssa K. Adams. So this was for the Magical Readathon prompt to read a book in 4 or fewer sittings. And I read this one in 3 sittings, I think. It is the 4th book in the Bromance Book Club series. And I think this might be my favorite one in the series so far. It's either this one or the previous one with the cat cafe called Crazy Stupid Bromance. But this has definitely been my favorite like character that we followed in this series, which was surprising because it follows the Russian, and in the first 2 books, he was just known as the Russian. He was a hockey player and he farted a lot. The 3rd one, they kind of developed him a little bit more, but it wasn't really until this one that he got like a full-on personality. And I was definitely hesitant because I was like, how are you gonna make him an interesting character when he's just the butt of the joke, like literally the butt of the joke every time. It's just fart jokes with him. But he ended up being super sweet, super like emotionally open, really caring, very sensitive, and he writes romance books, which is amazing. I also think that this is the book where the author finally figured out how to do a really good job of incorporating the romance books into the main plot line, because I found the first book, it was the romance book and the plot line just like were parallel and like mirrored each other almost exactly. And so it was almost like you were reading things twice sometimes. And well, it was like, okay, yeah, I can see how this is helpful for them going through their lives. It felt also a little repetitive and redundant. The second one, I feel like they almost didn't talk about the book at all. They had so much plot going on that the book was almost secondary. The third one was a little similar, where there was still kind of the plot from the second one continuing on, and they didn't talk a lot about the book that they were reading for the book club. But this one was great because he was writing a romance book. The emotional arcs paralleled what the Russian was going through, and it was really nice seeing the Bromance book club like critiquing his work and trying to suggest ways for him to like improve his writing. That was really fun too. And I think the chemistry between the two leads here was probably the best. Maybe not quite, because the cat cafe one was also really good. I liked that one. It had a cat cafe and it had friends to lovers, which is like my favorite trope ever. But this one had like a really compelling relationship between the two, and it was really sweet. I have noticed that in all of these books, in all of the kissing scenes, there's always two things. There is someone palms the back of someone's head, and then someone plunders someone else's mouth with their lips. Every single book. This one, at least it wasn't in the same scene. The plundering was in the book he was writing. The palming of the head was in the main plot line. But every single book, those are the two words you are guaranteed to read in the like kissing or like romance scenes. So I don't know if it's just like a trademark kind of thing that she has decided upon, but it's very noticeable, and it's not, the plundering is really, I don't like that. I hate that word. No, it's not for me. But I think she's got it down to just using it once in the book, which is good, because the first one, I feel like there were 3 or 4 times where she said like he palmed her cheek, he palmed the back of her hand, and like you could just say like touch or grab. You don't have to break out your thesaurus every single time. But I finished that book. I gave it 4 stars. I'm excited to see what the next one in the series is going to be, because I'm also not a huge fan of the guy that they're following, but it's like a Christmas one, so I love Christmas romances. And then after we finished reading, we went out for lunch with friends at like a nice little restaurant. I had Eggs Benedict, because if there's Eggs Benedict on the menu, I will order the Eggs Benedict. I'm a little bit obsessed with them. They're very good. And everyone knows that if we go out for like brunch together, I will be ordering the Eggs Benedict with bacon on it. I have a very strong brand amongst my friends. So yeah, after lunch, we went back down the main street and bought a board game, because we hadn't brought any like cards or anything with us, and we're like, we want to do something. So we bought this board game called Walking in Burano. And then we also bought a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and we ate the pint and passed out for like 3 hours and did not end up playing the board game. We have played it since getting back. It was a good time, very fun, pretty quick, like decently easy to learn, and like fairly compact, so you can take it with. Passed out, we woke up around dinner time. We weren't hungry because we had just eaten a pint of ice cream and then slept. So we did some more reading, and then we ended up going to a local pub for a late dinner around 8 o'clock and had some beer and some good pub food. I had a really good, like, it was like an orange chicken burger. So like orange chicken you get in like Chinese takeout, but like in a chicken burger. It was really tasty. It was really good. And my boyfriend had like a steak dinner, which seems weird for a pub, but was also tasty. They had really good like vegetables in that and mashed potatoes.
Stewed steak.
Yeah, it was like a stewed steak. So not quite like a filet mignon, but like a nice hearty stew with steak in the middle. And then we got back. I ended up reading If It Makes You Happy by Kann on Saturday as well. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, but I think it's closer to like 3.5 stars. For whatever reason, I found this one a little bit hard to get into. I liked the main character, Winnie, a lot. I really enjoyed the discussion of how she was like, you know, I'm a fat black girl, and that brings a lot of assumptions from people about me, and there's a lot of like stereotypes and stuff. And she has her family who is trying to get her to lose weight. But I thought Claire Kann did a really good job of talking about, like, she's like, you know, just because I'm fat doesn't mean I'm unhealthy. Like, my brother, who is stick thin but eats Doritos for every meal of the day, is a lot unhealthier than I am. But you're not, like, telling him that he needs to think about his health or anything because he's skinny. So I thought that was a really good discussion. There's also a queer platonic relationship in here. So Winnie has, she calls it her ungirlfriend, Kara, and their relationship is really lovely and sweet. There's also a guy that Winnie has a crush on. So her and like Kara have to kind of figure out how Kara can be okay with Winnie dating other people, but Winnie still makes sure that like Kara is her top priority. And like she says to the guy that she has a crush on, you know, she's like, I like you, however, like she's my priority, and if you can't get along with her and if you can't at least try and be friends with her, then like we're not gonna happen. So like, I like you, but these are my, she's number one. And I thought that was really great, like that promoting of non-romantic relationships equal to or even like more important than the romantic relationship. I do think part of the reason why it was so slow for me was that there were a lot of plot lines going on. I think there are about 5 different plot lines happening in this story with the different people in Winnie's life, and I think they should have trimmed even just like one of them to give the other ones a little bit more room to flesh out. I do think they all served their own purpose and had their own message associated with them. However, it was just like a lot in a decently small book. Like this was only like 350 pages. But I did love Winnie as a main character, and I really was like rooting for her, and I loved that she was learning to stand up for herself and not just be a people pleaser all the time. So yeah, it was still a good read. So once we finished the day off on Saturday, we woke up Sunday and got to have another wonderful breakfast at the B&B. This time we had a little like chia seed, I don't even know what it is. It was chia seeds, so it was a little like bowl cup thing of chia seeds and almond milk with like some cut up mango and shredded coconut on top. And I've never had chia seeds before, so this was like the lady put it down in front of us, and I was like, are we eating caviar? And then she was like, it's chia seeds, and I was like, oh, glad I did not say that out loud. But it was pretty tasty. Definitely without the mango it was not as good, but with the mango it was really good, and I would definitely eat that again. And then our like main course was this French toast with berries. It was like a berry French toast sandwich with all this like fruit and sausage. Also delicious, really good. And then we hung out in the room, packed up, did a little bit more reading, and then came back home to our sweet little parsnip who had had the run of the house by herself. And that was our weekend in the mountains. So it was a nice little break. Got to have that fresh mountain air, which kind of makes everything feel a little bit better when everything's terrible. And got to do a lot of reading. Finished like 2.5 books while I was there. That was my little weekly reading vlog. It was pretty fun to film. I wish I had gotten the audio from my previous shots, but you win some, you lose some. Let me know if you're doing the Magical Readathon this year. How's your character coming? What guild you're in? Because I'm in the, which one am I in? I'm in the House of the Arcane, so I think they're supposed to be kind of like little engineering, sciencey people. But yeah, let me know if you're doing that, because I love this readathon so much. It's always so fun, and this year G has really like kicked it up another notch, and I'm so impressed with her, honestly. I'll have a video about the Magical Readathon out whenever that happens. I think it's supposed to be in April, so probably by near the end of the month, but we'll see. Might be in May. But then I also have that book haul video that should be coming out probably within the next couple weeks, because my books are supposed to be arriving sometime this week. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for those videos. thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Yeah? Did you read too, Parsnip? So this week we have a little mini week. Here she is. Right on the mic. Like, are you in a, what guild are you in a,